Okay, sewing my last strip on, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be ironing. You see that these are placed right sides to right sides. Maybe it was hard to see in the light that's in here. Last one, I found this one on the floor, and you want to make sure you have the right number on here. If you want to count them, you could do that. Just make sure nothing falls on the floor and gets out of the way so that it's not in the long strip. So the next thing I'm going to do is take these mitered joins, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to iron them open. So I've got my little ironing pad right here next to me on the sewing machine. Get this strip out of here because it's long, so I have 32 of these that I need to do. And you might want to also, where your jelly roll strip is creased from being folded on the roll, you might want to go ahead and iron over that too, so that it's flatter when you're sewing the long strip together. So this is going to take a little while. This preparation of the long strip of the jelly roll probably takes as much time, if not longer, than actually sewing the jelly roll together. 1,200 inch long set of 32 strips sewed together and ironed, and I'm ready to start sewing my jelly roll brace top. Now, I found that this looks like a big jumbled mess, but if I just kind of drop that on the floor, it works out pretty well that I can just pull up the two ends. I've got the two ends of the beginning end and the last end together here. When you are joining these together, what you don't want is for your seams where you made your joints to actually come and overlap each other. So if I did it like this, when I got down to my seam, they would be really close and they would be overlapping. So the way that we counteract that is we take about half of a strip off of one end of this. So I'm just going to cut this orange one and cut off about 18 inches. This is right where one of my creases was for the beginning of, or where it was on the roll. So I'm going to take my two ends and I'm going to lay one on top of the other, and I'm just going to kind of drop these down on the floor and feed them up from the floor, and hope they're not too twisted at the end, but it doesn't really matter if they are, because we can straighten that out pretty easily. And this is going to take me probably about 20 minutes to sew this great big long piece together with right sides together, and using my 1/4 inch seam along the edge, lining them up as good as I can so that they're, you can take your accurate 1/4 inch seam. This particular machine has a little line on the bobbin cover that shows me where I should run my seam along the edge of it. So here's what I mean about the joints not being together. Since I've cut off that 18 inches there, now I've come to my first joint on the top, and I'm not anywhere near it on the bottom. The whole idea of a jelly roll race quilt top is everything should end up looking very random. And using a jelly roll collection, you've got coordinating fabrics in there. Of course, you can cut your own, and you can make up your own coordinates if you want to. But it blends together just by reason of the fact that the fabrics go together in the first place. But if you are trying to place your different colors in a certain place when you're making this quilt, I will tell you, you will be very frustrated, because it is almost next to impossible to do that. One of the things that people don't like about the Jelly Roll race top is sometimes certain colors and certain fabrics seem to get concentrated in one area where there'll be a big glob of like orange or blue or whatever, and they don't like that. Well, I'm sorry, that's just the nature of the beast. It's going to end up being that way in certain places anyway, no matter how hard you plan. And as a veteran of making probably 2 dozen or 3 dozen of these types of quilts, I could tell you I would never be able to even begin to figure out where the color is going to end up on one of these. It's just a real random thing. And it's just kind of a fun quilt for that reason, that it's not planned and it's not, you know, there's not a really whole lot of way that you can control where your colors end up. But it's always ends up fun to me. That's why I love making them. They're a lot of fun to do, and you can do any size. You can do you know, any colors. I've done the one I showed you before was a rainbow, and I arranged my colors from the lightest white all through the spectrum, from white to yellow to orange to red to what would be the next one, purple to blue to green to violet. And when you look at it, you would have no idea that I had done that much planning. It just ended up to be, the colors ended up so random. And so here I've got 3 or 4 of them already sewed. And I'm just going to let that drop down to the floor behind my sewing machine so that it's out of my way. Now, when I told you that I just threw the pile of strips on the floor, I want to tell you a little story. We had a get-together, a retreat, where we did a Jelly Roll race. Several of us did it. And, you know, I have the name of Jelly Roll Queen, and I'm like, well, I should be able to do these faster than anybody else. So I'm going to go ahead and defend my title as the queen. So as I was ironing my strips, one of the ladies who was participating in the get together, but she wasn't doing the race, she thought she'd help me, and she started rolling up my long strip in a great big reel, thinking I could just reel off, you know, the strip as I went along. And it worked for a while. It was kind of nice because it wasn't all flopping all over the place. And then I got about halfway through it, and in order to roll it up, you also had to twist it. And so what I ended up with was the most unbelievable mess in the whole wide world of 1,000 inches of Jelly Roll strip, all completely twisted around each other. And it took us about a half hour to undo the big knot that we ended up with. I just couldn't go any further and make any progress with my my Jelly Roll top, because I couldn't even pull the fabric up to lay it flat against the other one. So I learned my lesson the hard way. Don't do anything like that. Don't be so you know, particular about the way it looks as you're sewing it. You know, like put it in soft folds in a basket or something like that on the floor if you don't want to just throw it down on the floor like I did. But don't try to roll it. That was a big mistake. Luckily, one of the gals who was with us, her husband's a fisherman, and she's used to untangling fishing line. That's what I thought it looked like. A big jumble in your fishing line if your, you know, kids got their lines all tangled. That's what the kind of process that we were going through to get it untangled. So I learned my lesson the hard way, and I lost my title as the Jelly Roll Queen because another lady did hers faster than I did, and it turned out just really pretty. So had to relinquish my crown. Okay, I'm going to finish this off. I'll show you what we do when we get to the end.